host of the Gridiron.
It's one of those things that, obviously keeps you, maybe, keeps you, a little excited, not for this season, obviously, but for next season, right? We're not going to have a ton of money. We're not going to have, $300 trillion to spend in the off season and all that and whatnot. But we'll have some money. I think according to Spot Track, then we have like $57 million to spend. Obviously, you got to factor in the draft class. Now, of course, if you're picking number one, doesn't mean right? I mean, if you win a game, we're not picking number one, but if you're picking number ones, that means you're picking number one and number 33. So those two picks are going to cost you some money. Obviously, especially the number one pick. So out of that $57 million, you're going to need some money going into the season next year. You got to sign your draft class. So, according to Spot Track, is this? Let's see. I think it was we have $57 million in cap. We're 15th as far as cap space, 57.3. Now, if I go to over the cap, I'm sure they have us with a different number. I give up. Now, once again, this is a speculation because they're speculating on how much the cap is going to wind up being. Now, they're not exactly sure. Sometimes, they think the cap is going to be this and it gets even more. So you have even more money in cap space, right, than you do. But, I mean, the Giants, should have, some money to spend. Now, who or whom might that wind up being? Might that be maybe a boomer? A big, I just showed you maybe a T. Higgins who's going to want some money. I'm sure he's going to want probably at least $25 million. Some of these other guys are making 30 plus as wide receivers. I'm sure he's going to probably want at least $25 million. Now, obviously, of course, when you sign him for 25, you spray him over 3 years, just saying $25 million. In the first year, you probably get him for maybe $15 million or something like that. You push some money, obviously a little down the road, so his salary escalates a little bit as time goes by, right? What do you go for the middle of the road kind of guys, right? To try to, fill in your roster, do it, not on the cheap, but, try to get the value picks, right? Maybe instead of getting one big boomer, try to get instead of getting one guy for 25 or say T. Higgins wants $27 million, right? Just throwing it out there. What do you do with $27 million if you're the Giants? Do you want to bring in one guy who can really maybe make it put Higgins? Because you're probably going to lose Slayton, quite possibly, or else you want to bring him back, right? But now it's going to cost you, okay, because he's not on the salary for next year. Now it's going to cost you, and you're going to basically have the same team you had before, right? You're going to have Slayton, you're going to have Robinson, you're going to have Neighbors. You're not upgrading. So, it's going to cost you a little bit to bring Slayton back. But you want to bring back one player for $27 million? Do you want to sign two players for $13.5 million apiece? Or do you want to bring in three players at $9 million apiece? So, as we say, Giants not only have holes, but they need certain spots. They need depth. Certainly need depth all over. Almost the whole team needs depth. So, but where are we at here? Got some bridge players here. I did a thing with the quarterbacks. Right now, obviously, if the Giants were to bring in like a Justin Fields or Jameis Winston or Russell Wilson or Sam Darnold, that's going to take a huge chunk out of the money that they have, right? So that's just a quarterback. That's not adding. If they're picking number one, I don't know. Be interesting to see if they take number one. Obviously, if they go number one, take a quarterback, right? They're not going to take, I don't think, would they take a high-priced bridge quarterback? Ooh, I don't know about that, but there are some other guys out here, right? Now, what we got? Wide receiver. We got T. Higgins. Top dollar guys: Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, and Stephon Diggs. I'd stay away from Stephon Diggs. I think he was injured. Then you got mid-level guys. You got Darius Slayton, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Deontay Johnson. Neighbors allow the Giants to avoid shopping in the priciest aisle occupied by Higgins, Cooper, and Godwin. It's tricky to project Diggs' value because he's an aging player who will be returning from a torn ACL. So I don't know about Diggs. With Malik's alpha personality may not be the best fit alongside a blossoming young star like Neighbors. So Slayton will be the perfect fit in the next tier of options at the $10 to $13 million per year range, but he may choose a change of scenery after experiencing so much losing during the 6 years. Yeah, I can't blame him. That leaves older options like Allen and Hopkins, who are still productive enough to be stopgap in supporting role. So, but I mean, the Giants can also select somebody in the draft. I mean, if you're going to lose Slayton, pick somebody. I mean, whatever. Pick somebody in the second round or the third round. I mean, I would like to get it. If we get a quarterback in the first, I'd love to get a defensive tackle in the second. If there's one there worthy of taking, but get a wide receiver in the third round or so, right? Defensive tackle. The Giants aren't far removed from defensive tackle being stocked, but most of the players, Dalvin Tomlinson, B.J. Hill, Leonard Williams, A'Shaun Robinson, have landed paydays elsewhere. The Giants just let them go or traded them. B.J. Hill, they traded them away, right? Giants have been left with Dexter Lawrence and nothing else. With no young talent in the pipeline, the Giants will need to invest in a capable interior defensive lineman to take some of the load off of Lawrence. Now, as I said, this is why I would love to have him draft somebody. Like pick number 33. If there's a good defensive tackle there, let's take him. Pair him up with Sexy Dexy. Let's solidify that middle of the line, right? That certainly should help the run defense. But now, as far as there's no top dollar, what they say here, free agents in the defensive line. But there's Odigizua, middle of the level options for the Giants. B.J. Hill, right? Milton Williams, DJ Jones, right? Cheap options would be Calais Campbell, Bobby Brown, and Adam Butler. So there aren't any premier defensive tackles set to hit the market. That's fine because it's unlikely the Giants would spend big money considering how much they have invested in Lawrence and edge rusher Brian Burns. So that's why maybe in the draft, taking a low a guy in the second round maybe might cost you a couple $1 million just a year, right? But he'd be cheap. And I said, do you want to go out and spend $15 million on another defensive lineman? You still have to maybe pay Kayvon somewhere along down the line, right? You're paying Sexy Dexy, you're paying Burns, and you want to go out and spend $15 million or so on another defensive, $10-15 million on a defensive lineman? Oof, I don't know. The Giants also need a cornerback. Yes. And especially at least cornerback, you don't know what's going on, right, with Banks. Are they going to move him to the number 2? Flott, can the guy stay healthy? They need at least they need some depth there, because when these guys get injured, as all these guys have been injured this year, Dory Jackson, he's probably not coming back, but Banks, Phillips, Flott, you need some guys behind him, right? Giants hope 2023 first-round pick Banks would blossom into a number 1 cornerback this season. Banks wasn't equipped for that responsibility. There's no reason to believe he'll suddenly morph into a lockdown corner in year 3 after a highly disappointing second season. So the Giants need to make a major investment at outside corner after neglecting the position this offseason. So top dollar options that they have for cornerback next year would be DJ Reed and Charvarius Ward. Mid-level, Carlton Davis, Douglas Asante Samuel Jr., Byron Murphy, and Paulson Adebo. And there are no cheap options. So there'll be a ton of guys out there that Giants can get on the cheap. But number 1 corners rarely hit the open market, and they're prohibitively expensive when they do. Giants need to get out of the business of trading away draft picks to fill holes. But that's the more common route for top corners to change teams. This draft has potential number 1 corners, but the Giants figure to use their first-round pick on a quarterback instead. That leaves spending on players like Reed or Ward if the Giants want to take a big swing at a critical weakness. Now, they did really well with Phillips, right, in the 3rd round. right? So, but I think they really hit it out of the park with him. There are perils involved as neither player is an undisputed number one corner with Reed and Ward they're talking about. The value may be questionable, but that would significantly upgrade the Giants' cornerback spot. Spending on a player like Davis or Douglas from the next tier is less risky, but also eliminates the possibility of landing a true number one corner. That's not a bad option, however, because adding a quality corner would allow Banks to slide back into a number two role, which might suit him better. Because this year he has not been, I know his lack of effort. I don't know. And then, of course, we go to the last one here would be safety, right? It's hard to imagine Shane spending big money on a safety after letting Xavier McKinney leave in free agency to sign a 4-year, $67 million contract with the Packers. He didn't have an interception, by the way, tonight, so he's still stuck on 7. He had 5 in the first 5 games. In the last, 10 games, he's had 2 interceptions. So the Giants need to make more of an investment at the position after the spot was a weakness this season with impending free agents Jason Pinnock and rookie Tyler Newman. So Pinnock might hit the open market. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah. There are top dollar options: Javon Holland, Cameron Bynum, and Hufanga. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Justin Reed. Mid-level option safeties are Justin Reed, Justin Simmons, Andre Sisco, and Jeremy Chin. Then they have cheap options like Jason Pinnock, DeMar Hamlin, and Marcus May. Now, the thing is, you don't know if Pinnock's going to want to come back. It takes 2 to tangle. Just because the Giants go out there and want to sign somebody doesn't mean, oh, yeah, okay. I mean, it's like, no, the Giants are, that organization's a joke. Everybody gets injured. They suck. Organization's a joke when we play home games. It's half filled. Nah, I'm not going there. Right? Takes 2 to tango. This is a loaded safety class, even with Buda Baker signing a 3-year, $54 million extension with the Cardinals this week. Holland, Bynum, and Hufanga figured to be priced out of the Giants' budget, but safety is a spot that offers value. Veterans like Reed and Simmons could be short-term options for less than $10 million a year. One of Shane's best qualities has been his restraint in free agency. He has mostly avoided the reckless spending on predecessors Dave Gettleman and Jarrett Reese that compromised the Giants' salary cap. Giants are projected to have the most cap space of Shane's tenure. A modest spending spree that yields, for example, Justin Fields, Keenan Allen, B.J. Hill, cornerback Rasul Douglas, and safety Justin Reed wouldn't transform the Giants into Super Bowl contenders, but that type of haul would upgrade the Giants' biggest weaknesses without mortgaging the future, which is true. If they brought in Justin, if they brought in Sanders, just say they drafted Sanders, they brought in Justin Fields, then you have whatever third string quarterback they want, right? They brought in Keenan Allen, right? Now you got Keenan Allen, you got Malik Neighbors, you got Wan'Dale Robinson, okay? Then your defensive tackle, if B.J. Hill would want to come back, right? Right? B.J. Hill, put B.J. Hill next to Sexy Dexy. May not be the greatest front wall of all time, but B.J. Hill would certainly be an upgrade without question, right? Cornerback Rasul Douglas, right? If you got Flott, if you got Phillips, if you got Banks, and you got Rasul Douglas, now you got 4 decent guys there, right? And once again, you can draft somebody too, bring somebody else, right? And then Justin Reed in the safety. So if you let Pinnock go, right? If you have Belton, you can draft another safety, right? But you got Newman, right? You have Belton, and you have Reed if you were to let Pinnock go. As I said, you can certainly, obviously, you bring in B.J. Hill, but that certainly doesn't mean you can't draft a defensive tackle, right? You bring in Keenan Allen, but that doesn't mean you can't draft another wide receiver. You bring in cornerback Rasul Douglas, that doesn't mean you can't draft a cornerback in the 2nd or 3rd round. You bring in Justin Reed at safety, doesn't mean you can't draft another safety in the 4th round or 3rd, something like that or whatever, right? Obviously, you have to also think about possibly maybe offensive line help as well too. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. It's like always. I mean, Obviously, there's always turnover, all the rosters and everything. The Giants are no exception, but it just seems like it's just never ending. Like you fill one, you plug one hole, and two other holes open up for the Giants. It's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. All right, guys, it's been 1 hour and 25 minutes. Whoever spent any time listening to me live, thank you. Or if anybody's going to spend any time watching the replays, once again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. As always, you guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo! Oh, yeah!